Hey gang, we are working on the Grasshopper 618, but before I get into it, I need to talk to you guys seriously here for a minute. Maybe not even a minute. Been looking at my analytics, and it's actually been pointed out to me that I should have more subscribers than what I have with all the content that I have. I have over 1,000 videos, been at it for over 13 years. And would you believe that 91.5% of you are not subscribed? 91.5%. It's not that difficult. Click that subscribe button for me. Now let's get into it. Alright, there's just about, I don't know, 40 pounds of broccoli, as Mr. Pender would say under there. Got it all cleaned out, got the blades off, getting ready to first wire cut brush the blades so that there's no grass on them. I will pre-balance them on the balancer after we do that. You birds need to shut up. I said they don't listen. Then we're going to commence to getting an edge on these blades. They are quite rounded over. That's a little bit too much. You see this bitter edge? Oh, wrong finger here. See this bitter edge right here? How it's not sharp, but looks a little better than that. That's really rounded over. It's like a 1/4 inch radius. So got a lot of sharpening to do to these three. It's been a while since it was done. I was the last one to do it. It just fell by the wayside like a lot of other things do. This is Mama Sue's Grasshopper, so I'm gonna get those blades sharpened. After we get the blades sharpened, we'll get the deck back down, and we do have a rather shredded, it's not off yet, but a rather shredded blade, or excuse me, belt. So we'll be swapping the belt. There's the belt right there, and then after we're done swapping the belt, we'll come back here and service the engine and the hydros. After we get that done, tires come off, new tires go on, and that'll be ready to go back to Mama Sue. So, sorry about the little spin around there. Just felt like doing it. See you guys in a minute after I get the blade sharpened. So why do you want the blade clean? Because it alters the weight and your balance will be incorrect. You want to get all that excess grass stuff off. This side's clean. We'll show you here the other side. You still have that to do. You want all that off of there because that will affect your balance big time. Alright, the blades are all clean. Now obviously the way this one's sitting right here, it is nowhere near balanced. The maximum that is considered reject is about that much, 15 degrees. That's it, just 15 degrees. So that one's out. Now we're going to check the blade to make sure, and what you do is you take this rod and you put that rod at the end of the blade. That's pretty good right there. We'll tighten her back down. Okay, put it at the end of the blade, as close to the end as you can get it. Okay, and no more than, you know, 2 or 3 millimeters away, or 1/16 of an inch away from the blade. And then looking at the side of it, just run that blade around and see if you have a straight blade. And these are gator blades. I expected them to be straight, but they are. So right now what I want to do is, not that it's really going to matter as much as has to be taken off of these, but I always come through and I just mark my heavy side out and away so that it's not going to get ground off, and that way I know I can take a little bit more meat off this side than I can the other side. So I'll get to grinding and then I'll turn the camera back on and show you a balanced blade. Let's talk real quick about setting up the blade grinder. What I typically do, I'll loosen the two wing nuts, and I'll get down and I'll eyeball. I'll get the blade setting flat and level, and I will eyeball my angle to the wheel, okay? And I will get it as close as I can, just by eye. And then I'll turn the grinder on, then right back off again, and just touch the grinding wheel to the blade to see where I'm at. Where I want to be is between here and there. I want to be right in the middle of that blade. So I need to move it up just a hair more, turn the grinder back on, and see if that doesn't square us away. So you guys just sit right over here out of harm's way while I do this. And you know, there's going to be a noise alert, so I need to go up just a little. I believe I've lost track already, but it'll quickly tell me if I went the right way or the wrong way. All I did was maybe a third of a turn, lock those wing nuts back down, blade stone back on, then turn it off, and then I'll just run the blade into the stone. Okay, you can see those two marks. I went the right way. I need to go up just, you know what? I don't need to go up anymore. Because if that bitter edge was down there, like, oops, if that bitter edge was down there like it should be, then we would be in good shape. You noticed I took these little test grinds off of the heavy side. So now, I'm not going to put you guys through it, but I'm going to sharpen these, and I'll come back when I've got a blade on the balancer after the first sharpen. We'll see how way far out of whack it's going to be, and then what you have to do to bring it back in. Okay, this is after grinding, and I did not come all the way out to the edge. You can see, didn't come all the way out to the edge, and you do not want to come all the way out to the edge, because that edge, it'll go away in a heartbeat if you do. Okay, so now here's our heavy side, and what you want to do is just kind of slowly, and I'm using my hand here to just let it slowly find its comfy place. And we are still heavy on that side. Now I ground and ground and ground on that side too. But when you do this, even if you're using an angle grinder, which is the way I used to do it, if you count your strokes on one side, put an even number of strokes on the other. And you can see I wasn't too far off. I'm just a little bit heavier on this side now. But like I said, I took a lot off of there. So I'm going to keep grinding on it. And it may take 4 or 5 tries, kind of tedious work, but a perfectly balanced blade is going to make for a very happy deck. So sit tight. Okay, let's see what we have now. That is well within 15 degrees. It's about 3 or 4 degrees off on this side. Very well balanced. And that was a total of 6 passes. Every 2 passes on the grinding stone, I came back, and let's move that over the other side, just see where that heavy side lands over here. I was a total of 6 passes. Every 2 passes I checked it. So there we go. We are in really good shape. So that's how you balance a blade. Well, it came back to almost dead level. I'll take that. So got the other 2 to do. Put those back on, get the deck down. And we have this general maintenance on the Vanguard, which is clean the thing, make sure that the fins are good and clean. I've got this nifty new sprayer, right here. Oops. Where's my nifty new sprayer? It's MIA. It's way over here. How'd it get over here? And I have mineral spirits in it. You just pressurize it up to it's like 120, maximum pressure 200 psi. Wow. Capacity 32 ounces. And it's just mineral spirits. That's all that's in there. So I will be starting this engine to warm the oil up and all that. And then afterward, I'll just give it a quick little spray down just to loosen the oil and the grit and the grime. Then I'll go over it with the air compressor after the oil change is done and the engine's had a chance to cool down. So I've got that to do to clean the engine a bit. And then the tires, which may not get done until part 2. We'll just have to wait and see. So I'll see you guys when the blades are back on and the deck is back down where it's supposed to be. Our neighbor out there mowing. Okay. I'll show you the condition of the belt first. I don't know how well you can see all the cracks on it. There's one spot on the belt's not showing. It's got a big chip out of it. So, taking all those bolts off. I'm sure we have a little bit of grass under here. And a mouse nest. And I'm sure we've got a little bit of grass under here. So, I'm going to commence to liberating the mouse nest and all the other grass in here. We got the oil changed, everything's lubed and greased up. I went ahead and did just a little bit of mowing with it afterward to make sure everything was good, and everything is. So now we have this fun little task of getting it degrassed. I swear I took 20 pounds of grass out from underneath that deck. That was just ridiculous. But hopefully Mama Sue will request the full service a little more often so that we can keep this thing a little cleaner. So we find the release down here, tilt that up. Sorry, you guys are looking at where my butt sits. There we go. We've got grass packed down by the hydros. I mean, just, yeah, that doesn't work too good. So we're going to get all the grass out of it, and then after that, we'll spray it down with a little bit of mineral spirits after it cools down just a little bit. And get the engine cleaned up and get that belt changed. And Grasshopper was nice enough to put a belt routing decal right there. Sorry, you were looking at it upside down. Turn your head over if you need to see it right. But we're plugging away. All right. What a mess. It's all over everywhere. It's all over me. Hi guys. Now, you see what happens when mice get into things? They pee all over bolts and rust them up. Well, that's the idler tension bolt for that rod right there, which has to come loose. So, now it doesn't have to, but I would like for it to, so that I can clean that off. I did get the back nut backed off a little bit, but I got to get that bolt out somehow. Even if I have to break it and then just make another one. Anyway, took quite a bit of doing. This thing needs cleaned out more often. And, you know, I told Mama Sue, and she's got a bunch of kids that are perfectly capable and that have been told, get this stuff cleaned out and keep it cleaned out, but they don't listen. If this thing's gonna last, or anything's gonna last, you gotta take care of it, right? Okay, enough griping. I'm gonna keep working on that. Maybe put a little heat to it and a little bit of wire brushing, try to get that break loose, and we'll get that belt on. All right, got it off. Here's the tension bar, and there's that spring hook. Just goes right there. I'm gonna run a thread chaser across that and then copious amounts of anti-seize. And then here, this is a pivot point. This is supposed to pivot independent of this. Yeah, no, not so much. They are locked together tighter than a drum. Surprise, surprise. So we've got that to work on too. So I will attempt to drift it out using my drift set. If that doesn't work, Mama Sue may have to put a little bit more money into it than what she's counting on. But I was surprised that I got that loose. So who knows? Maybe that'll come loose. Stay tuned. Alright, we got the 2 punch sets out. We've got that sitting there. See if we can get that thing out. You can see it has a brass bushing and a steel collar. And this is the steel collar. But when I try to turn that, both of these birds, you're going to have to be quiet. That didn't help. Both of these, I'd go to another vise, but the sound just travels in here. I'm going to try to knock that out. So I'll get things set up here, and we'll pop you back on when I'm ready to start pounding with the hammer. Now let's see if we can get it out of there. I'm not holding high hopes for it. Moving. Awesome. Coolio. Here we are. I really didn't expect it to pop out at all. I gotta be careful here. Let me put a cap on. Alright. Well, it turned out I didn't have the exact correct. The one I needed was right there. Excuse me, not right there. It was right there. And of course it wasn't there. So the homemade punch came through. Just happened to have just slightly undersized here, but the perfect shoulder size, so I used it. Now where'd the other piece go? Here you are. Oh, there. See, this area here is supposed to spin in there, and looks like we have another bushing. Oh, that's going to be fun to get off. I have to get that bushing off too. That's the other side. So we've got this one on top, comes through, and I knocked that bushing out. With that piece. This is supposed to be greased and pivot. Yeah, it's not pivoted in a long time. That probably helped contribute to the wear on the blade. So I'm going to spend a few minutes trying carefully to get that off of there. If I can't, we may have to order some parts. Stay tuned. Almost forgot to turn the camera on. Got it off and got it cleaned up. How I got it off, I have no clue, but I'm just setting it in right now, so I'm just tapping it down in there nice and light and easy. Light and easy with a really big hammer. And no lubrication on the outside of it, obvious. Okay. There we go. Are we good? We are good. Golden. Yeah, I got really lucky with it. A little bit of torch and a little bit of the Knipex Cobra pliers, and it just decided to let go and come right off. Apparently these are oil light bushings, because when I heated it up it did start to sweat. So we're going to remedy our stuck problem, hopefully for good, right here. I'm going to load up the cavity between the two bushings, and on top of that make sure the bushings themselves have got a good little bit on it. Why am I not using grease? Well, it doesn't move a lot, and I think that the grease would eventually disappear on me. So I'm just gonna go the route that I personally think is best. It doesn't necessarily mean it is. And we got that side all cleaned up too. Alright, so when I knocked it out that way, so it's got to go back through that way? Yes, because the bar lays on top of the belts. Okay, we are done with the antices for this part, but not done completely, because we do have the bolt that goes through this that I want to put antices all on. Plus, I still have to chase this. I got this one turned all the way up. This one just spins right off now, but I still want to chase this with a thread chaser, and I'll show you an actual thread chaser here in just a second. See? That's how that should work. Just like that. Should just sit there and pivot. It needs to go down just a little bit more, so I'm going to just tap it lightly with the big hammer. Yeah, because I lifted that other bushing up just a little bit when I was doing some cleaning, but there we go. That's what it should have been doing, but because of the mice nest that moved in there. Now our bearings are as quiet as they can be. They're great. That's in good shape. We got to get that bolt that the spring attaches to chased by a thread chaser. So let me go grab the thread chaser and put my punches away, or my complete bushing removing and inserting set. Alright, these are nut rethreader dies. Okay, these are National Fine, these are National Coarse, and I believe we need a 3/8 National Coarse. You guys are going to be looking at it kind of funny, but at least you'll be able to look at it. That and my toe. After I run the rethreader on, then I'll get this nut off, and then I'm going to replace both that nut and this nut after I run the rethreader on. So get these coarse rethreaders out. Come on, fellers, one way or the other. There you go. Okay, get a little better look at them here. And what makes these different from a tap is they don't actually cut. They are just cleaning up the threads. All right, that's all they're doing. You can see that they're kind of packed with grease. Just holds everything out of them. So you pack them with grease before you use them. But let's see how we do here. If we can get that sucker started. There we go. Hold on, I got to get my impact, and it looks like a 9 or a 1/2 inch or 9/16. I'm coming. Don't you worry. I'll be there at some point. Where'd it go? Gone. My 1/4-inch impact took a walk on me. It was out at the Grasshopper. Sorry about that moment of silence. I may or may not edit that out. There we go, 9/16. I wasn't sure. I'm just going to run it down as far as it'll go. I'll also, just so I've got it, get a 9/16 wrench. Here we go. Nice and slow and easy. If you're eating on these are pretty much any impact. The easier you are in the trigger. You know, I've seen people use them and they just go full bore. If you go real easy on the trigger, it'll turn really slow with a better controlled spin and less chance of damage. You can hear it having to work a little bit there. Can't go much further. There we go. It's actually going on pretty good by itself. I don't have the air hose in here, but you get the idea. Run that rethreader on. I'm going to go ahead and run both these off back to back right against one another here. This one moved first of the two, and then I was able to get the vice grips on. I don't know how much of that you saw. Get the probably none of it. Vice grips on this part, and then get this one to start loosening up. After what I did was I tightened it first, got to where I could get to the threads and wire brush the threads. So anyway, you get the idea. I know you can't see anything. I'm just holding the nuts in place and keeping the wrench centered over both of them so I can take both of them off at once. And we'll see how loaded up that nut rethreader there is when we get it off. Come on, get in there. Yeah. Load it up right to the gills. Then you can take a pick or pretty much anything, or air, or both. Clean them out and then just repack them with grease. You see, they just, I'll show you here this way. It just pops right out. Just pops right out of there. So I'll get a good cleaning done on this. I'll put it back, packed full of grease so it's ready the next time, and I don't have to sit there and spend time re-greasing it because it'll already be done. So, a couple new 3/8 nuts, and wire brush this one more time since both the nuts are off of it now, and then this will be ready to go back on. And I know where my adjustment was because of where my clean threads are, right between my thumbs there, and that plate was right in the middle. So it's about in the middle of both sets of threads. So a specific amount of tension needs to be on the belt when you put the new belt in. And it's going to be a little bit tight to begin with till it breaks in. So anyway, there we go. Well, I've got a different neighbor mowing now, but as you can see, we've got the belt on. We took care of our tensioner rod back here with the bushings so that it is doing what it's supposed to. Give me just a second to move the grease down. It pivots the way that it needs to anyway. Can't do it with just one arm. It's a strong spring. Measurement on the springs is just the coils on the spring. Just the coils on the spring is 5 3/4 inches, which took me to right to the bitter end of the bolt, so we're good there. We've got anti-seize here, the new belt routed, and all I'm getting ready to do now is just grease the 3 spindles. That's the 3 silver pulleys, and then we can put the covers back on, kick it on, and see how she sounds. So stay tuned for that. All right, it's 6:15, so after we test the deck, I'm done. I'll worry about spraying down the motor tomorrow. I'll pull everything inside. You can see I just grabbed handfuls of grass, but there's still a boatload down around those hydros, and then there's a flat pan down there, and it's completely full. You can see more of it down there, right down in there. Lots and lots of it. So got a lot of grass yet to clean. We'll get it all clean, but for right now we're going to fire it up, back it up a little bit, and see how that deck sounds with newly sharpened and balanced blades that were way out of balance. It's probably cold, so here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, contact. Come on. Hang on, guys. Okay, you guys saw it was having trouble starting. I had blown out down here and hit the light switch. See the light turn on, and I did that earlier, and when I did that, the brake light went out even though the brake is on. It's right here, see? And it was starting really weird. It was doing funny things, so I just cleaned the switches out just a little bit, came down here and pulled the fuses, put them back in, pulled them, put it back in, and now there we go. We're good to go. Now let's get back to what we were going to do. I just love the way a Vanguard runs. Break off a little bit of throttle. Deck height. Let's just see how she sounds at about half throttle. Ready? Needs more than half throttle. Hang on. Well, that's gonna call it. It's been a very long day. I've been out here since 8:30. Well, I did get a bunch of scrap cleaned up at the front of the shop, looking pretty spiffy. Had a whole bunch of scrap out there, got rid of it all. In fact, one of the pieces of quote-unquote scrap rode over to Dave's house I started up that Sears, sent it over to him. But anyway, my battery's about to die. I will catch all of you guys on the next one. This was the long one. You've seen me change tires before. If you haven't, I've got older videos. That's part of what makes a day so long, and why I asked for you guys to please subscribe, is because I would have been done around 3 o'clock if not for grabbing the camera and showing you guys, Now I have a good solid probably 3 hours of editing that lie ahead of me. I won't get done today. Alright, friendly neighborhood Zippo guys, please hit the subscribe, hit the like, do whatever you want to do. Later.